Welcome to Chronic Combat Conversations, a live look at our best bets, picks, and predictions for every UFC event. With your host, TB Scouting MMA, and
the Guru, back again for UFC 312. We've got Dricus du Plessis, still Knox defending his middleweight belt against Sean Strickland. Tarzan, I guess is his nickname. We'll go with that. Why not? I like the American Psycho a lot better. And we've got your strawweight title up for grabs. Zhang Weili defending her belt versus undefeated Tatiana Suarez. Should make for an unbelievable card, a top-heavy card. But hear me out. I think these fights are going to be bangers. I expect a lot of violence. But before we can get into that, we have a very, very special guest and a very, very good friend of ours on the show today. He's an analyst for MMA Junkie, a writer for Home Fight. Check out his podcast, the Protect Your Neck podcast. We are major, major fans of that. And we are major, major fans of this guy right here, Mr. Dan Tom. Thank you so much for spending your evening with us.
Oh, man, that was quite the intro. Not much to check out right now on the Protect Your Neck podcast, so make sure you stay tuned, like this channel, and support my homies here. But I do appreciate the shout, and I will say I almost feel like you guys let me know, as longtime people in the space, friends, fellow podcasters, whatever. I got an important, a throat surgery next week. Not a reassignment surgery, folks. Relax. A throat surgery next week. And I'm confident, it's going to be, cancer free, or I'll kick the cancer's ass if it's there. But the more important thing was not more important, but I'm like, man, my voice, is it going to be the same? And we'll see. It looks like I can get through it with the same voice or hopefully a majority recovered voice. But if it's recovered, guys, I owe it to myself to maybe start my pirate ship, so to speak, back up again and get you guys back on, because you guys are just fantastic guests. You're fantastic to listen to. I still listen to you guys as a fan, and I can barely listen to any MMA stuff these days. But I do listen to you guys. So,
Dan Tom, anytime you want me to test your throat game, I got you.
Easy. Oh,
we're getting off hot, baby.
It's like, it's all right.
No.
We're getting off hot.
At least it's only virtual. We've got time zones apart. But
damn it.
Appreciate all you guys so much. Really means a lot to come out here and do this content weekly. Thank you so much to all the amazing friends of the Protect Your Neck podcast. James Kendrick, how you doing?
James.
Forrest, yeah, we're casually late. Hey, it is what it is. You know how it goes. I don't want to know how much money. I'm not doing it.
Oh, I mean, come on. Seriously? I mean, you're giving me 10 grand. I'll do it. I mean, it looked pretty much healed over.
You got to pay off all my.
Well, wait. I have to know if it's actively infected. If I'm gonna get staph on my tongue,
that bad boy is not good. Yeah, he's an American treasure. I totally agree. He's the man. I see the switcheroony. Daz, what's going on? Yes, appreciate you, Phantom, Ghost Phantom. You're the man. And listen, Weili gang for life. But we'll get there. Daz, yep. Not ideal, but I think Dan's going to crush it as he always does. He's the man, and he will persevere.
Honestly, I'm not worried about Dan. I'm worried about that throat surgery. That throat surgery is going to go through it.
Yeah.
Well, hey, make sure you're supporting all the guys everywhere. Dan, he continues to put out fantastic content, even if he's not running the individual podcast right now. He's still bringing you the hard-hitting analysis weekly.
And he's on one of the most hottest up-and-coming platforms you can be on. I really like what Home of Fight is doing. I think Maddie Betts is hilarious. Jake and I are. We love Jake over here. So just a bunch of really awesome people. What's not to like about Anato Moicano and Gilbert Burns? You just got a bunch of awesome colleagues there.
Those guys are legit hilarious. And by the way, my Southpaw report, it's like all outlined, and I'm going to be submitting it when I get done with the show. But you guys will get a crack at the Southpaw stats that I put out over there, Home of Fight. So you guys will get the first crack on that for what it's worth.
Yes.
I don't suggest following me maybe so much in the bets. We'll see where we get there. I'm so glad. I'm so excited to pick your guys' mind. And guys, this is totally official. I didn't just make this up. But if this gets to 15 likes, TB and Guru are going to reenact Dricus du Plessis and Munir Visser in the corner. So you guys hit that like button. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Oh,
If that's
my
not
goodness.
motivation for you, then I don't know what's wrong with you. Smash the like, and we'll get to smashing each other in the corner.
I need
Plessis
I might need
style.
69 likes to do that.
Yeah. Come on. I
Some
agree.
groping
Let's
action there.
69. Come on.
TB's got the cheeks for it.
All right. Well, anyways, if you're trying to catch these immaculate vibes every Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern,
He's
then
built
make
like
sure-
William Knight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thick
Willie.
Willie, baby. We're
Big
live.
Willie.
We're here. We're having a great time. Subscribe if you haven't already. I would extremely be judging you if you hadn't already liked or subscribed to the channel and you're here right now, but it's never too late to do the right thing. So please, let's get down to business.
3 days grace.
Here, right?
3 days
Yeah.
grace. It's never too late.
All right. Well, hey, we got still Knox, Dricus du Plessis, minus 205. We got a championship fight in the middleweight division. The American Psycho. That's what we went with. Sean Strickland. I'm glad you approved, Guru. You already said it before you saw what we went with.
It's not really yours. It's
No,
like,
I'm just saying I had to make a choice so he doesn't technically have a nickname.
right.
Yeah, I'm just saying. All right, so minus 205 on the du Plessis side, plus 170 Strickland. Rematch City. Man, I'm really interested to see what happens. I think a lot of people are very curious what's going on with the betting line. The first fight was so close. How could you possibly make the second fight this wide a betting line? Well, what if I told you in like rematches of title fights, the winner of the first one wins at like a minus 200 clip, essentially? Yes, it makes total sense for them to have priced the line at this number. And I think du Plessis is the still ever improving fighter. Strickland seems a bit hung up on a few different things, but it does look like he's been putting in the work on the wrestling. Shout out to Guru for pointing out the cauliflower ear to me and the in some of the interviews, because that's definitely worse than it's been, which is a good sign for like stuffing initial takedown entries and being willing to wrestle a bit here or there. But man, what I saw from du Plessis from like the pad work and the combinations, this guy looks determined, and he might actually have the ability to throw in combination on the pocket without being on roller skates the whole time. So I don't know. Maybe we see something different happening in this main event this time. But at minus 205, I think we kind of highlighted that the line's probably appropriate. I mean, the pick is du Plessis, as much as I've kind of ripped on him for different technical stylings or, the inability to look pretty while he's doing it. I mean, the dude's effective as hell, and I'm not jumping off the train while it's still rolling at this point. And not against a guy that I've already seen. He could basically take the worst type of like first round possible and still go ahead and find some perseverance. He's only picked up more 5-round experience since then. And Strickland, I think he's a fantastic fighter in his own right, and he's reached his pinnacle. I just think, du Plessis has a bit more to still grow, and I think we're going to see the improvements that he's made as a fighter in the time since they last fought. So du Plessis, but Guru, I think I'm very interested in a prop play that you were thinking about. So why don't you give your analysis on this fight?
Yeah, I mean, when I was rewatching that last fight, I mean, it's about as close as can be. I mean, maybe I'm crazy for thinking this, but you play that round 3, I truly think that is a textbook 10-10. I mean, nobody does anything to really capitalize, and giving the round to either fighter in my mind is totally justifiable. Maybe I need a referee course or something like that, judging course, something like that. But like, I that's really how I scored it. So looking here, you're right, TV. It's like, why is the line minus 205? And it's not simply just that champions retain their belt and rematch at 60% clip. I really think it comes down to, if there's a finish, I just think we're all kind of come down to the fact that it's going to be on the Dricus side. So if you have that much of the equity in the fight, in a 5-round fight, I think that that's important. And I also feel that we've seen time and time again that most rematches just don't end the same way. So I'm really thinking that it could be really possible that Dricus can catch him. We've seen a couple times now, right? Even just Izzy last fight, frame out. You think you're out of range, you're not. And I think Dricus could be absolutely. You've seen him strike while falling forward on roller skates, like TB's saying. I think Strickland's going to think he's out of range and get clipped. I took a stab here on Dricus du Plessis by knockout at plus 400. And I just also think, TV mentioned that I saw his right ear that's about to explode. I don't think he's fucking stupid. And I don't think he's smart enough to drain his ear before the fight. So, by the way, the fight could just get fucking stopped with his ear fucking hanging off because it explodes from a punch, mind you. And then number two, again, this is a little bit of a stretch, but it almost kind of reminds me of the Masvidal-Usman rematch, where Masvidal trained that wrestling, and all it did is really just make you more fearful of the takedown, and he gets knocked the fuck out. So maybe that's just like a weird meta thought for me, but I think with Strickland maybe focusing on the grappling, maybe he'll ignore a bit of the striking. So give me my shot on Dricus, plus 400 by knockout, and in that right, who wouldn't like just a fight doesn't go the distance if plus money covers both angles? And still, I suppose, sorry to your teammate, but I'm sure you won't be that sad, Dan Tom. So what do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like having to it's like the movie The Good Son where the mom's trying to figure out what son to let go, You got the evil one, but it's related to blood. And then you got Frodo Baggins who never aged, right? I just feel like this is two Macaulay Culkins right here, man. And I just I drop both if I could. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I try to put of course, I train at Extreme Couture, and my guy is Eric Nixick, which is head coach of Sean Strickland. So obviously there's biases there. I always got to state, but I picked against Extreme Couture or Eric Nixick fighters or Sean Strickland before, so I don't think that should be a big deal. I did pick Sean the first time, and albeit a memorable. It's crazy. I mean, you think I'd forget all these losing nights? You sack up so many of them, but I do remember this night in Canada, right? And even though that night didn't go my way, I don't think any of it had to do with the main event. For what it's worth, I don't think I had major action on there. Which is to say that I scored it 1, 2, and 5 for Strickland. I wasn't out like the Strickland fanboys, crying robbery, despite that being the crowd who accuses people of crying. I wasn't
shout
doing
out
that,
our
but
boy PC Strickland.
Yeah. But listen, I was sympathetic with the scorecards, and I agreed with them, right? 1, 2, 5. And to Greg's credit, round 2 and round 3, I believe, were according to most were the swing rounds there. That's where you saw dissension, right? And I hate it because you guys said it, right? And it's something I always say, and every time I veer against it, I get burned, by it, which is to say that rematches seldom ever go the same way in MMA. That's something that we've always seen. I remember picking Robert Whitaker and Adesanya to go to decision, the rematch, especially in the rematch. If whether someone was knocked out or there was a war, as sloppy as it was a war the first time between Dricus and Sean. You get a little bit of that tentativeness, and it sucks because all signs are basically pointing to picking the same outcome last time, even if I don't agree with the decision. The decision was what the decision was, and Dricus du Plessis is the champion, and I do think that he's probably going to win a decision again. Now, if you're looking for contrarian play about it, I don't disagree again with Greg as far as the side most likely to finish is going to be Dricus. Sean, whether it's a spinning kick from Zaleski or the left hook from Poatan, left-sided strikes seem to really, kind of fuck him up, so to speak. Pardon my French. And Dricus du Plessis, for as bad as his right hand is and so is Sean Strickland's from a technical aspect, boy, does Dricus really throw good from his left. He's got quick kicks from his left. He's got good punches from his left side. And even from southpaw, from either stance. So I do think that's a live look there if you want to do that. I basically have a 4-leg round robin. I usually do 4 or 5-leg round robins. And essentially what I use them for is the shit where you're I want to play this guy, but it's a sketchy heavyweight, but it's a big number. Stupid stuff like that. That's probably low percentage. Instead of throwing a whole unit or a regular play, I'll just throw stuff in a round robin. This, I might try to look for the split decision prop. Which I'm glad we started with this fight because on Australia cards in particular, or when we go to Podunk regions, folks, you want to look for obviously the betting crowd here, right? Shouts to you guys. Shouts to Dixon Cider, by the way. I don't even think you've ever been in one of my chats. If you have, but I just remember that name, and I'm this guy always makes me laugh seeing his name. It's awesome. But for you degenerate gamblers out there, when you go to certain regions for judging, you're going to notice a much more slew of split decisions. And Shout out, they don't do this podcast anymore. Dan Urban, who is now a judge in the Jersey Commission. He used to pop into some chats as well. And as well as Scott Fontana, who is usually on the Medium beat for New York Post. They also took the judging criteria courses like I did and whatnot. And they would do a podcast. And those guys, if anything, I love those guys, but if anything, you could accuse them as maybe being the media members who kind of defend the judges, right? But even those guys were like, dude, Australia is the worst, right? Remember, what was it, like Andrew Holbrook, Jake Matthews, who we'll get to in a second here. Like, they're just consistently terrible scorecards there. So these are kind of the events you want to bet split, and we'll get to it. But there are some deceptive unders kind of sprinkled throughout this card where there's not a lot of fights I see going to contentious splits, but this is one of them. So sorry to be long-winded, but I wanted to set the table for that.
Hey, fair enough. And I think a lot of this comes into a little bit of this staff conspiracy. Could Sean be affected? Could he slow down? I mean, there's no denying what that thing looks like on his arm.
Oh, it's staff.
It's
no,
yeah.
No, it's not up for
admitted
debate. It's not up for debate. It's 100,000% staff, but that's not what's important. You just saw Merab have staff and be just fine. It's how long ago were you on antibiotics? How long ago were you drained and tired from it? Like, that's what matters. How healed is it?
Shady, you make a great point before we move on to the next fight. Yes, we have started off 3 for 3 on profit to begin the year from a card analysis betting perspective. But it's not time to get happy and content. It's time for us to say maybe we don't need to do anything with the minus 205 here. We can take a small shot in a prop, avoid a parlay, and live
and
to fight
still
another
learn.
day.
Still learn. We
Still
didn't have
learn.
the balls to lay MVP pre-card. You know what I mean? We played it live. We were just like, you know what? We've been doing well tonight. Char doesn't make any sense here. Let's go with MVP. And of course he killed it. And then all that money was flushed and then some when Izzy got fucking bonkered.
Yeah,
so, we live and learn. We live and we learn.
You don't love to see it, but we live to fight another day. And here we are onto our co-main event. One of my absolute all-time favorites, Magnum Zhang Weili, plus 100 now versus Tatiana Anaconda Suarez in here for the title fight at 115. Just can't wait for this absolute banger of a matchup. And man, it really can't be overstated how we see Zhang Weili as an underdog for the first time long time, it's really shocking. And I thought I'd be waiting for this moment to jump on the Zhang side, but Guru, I think it's appropriate to ask you how you're feeling about this.
Oh, you know how I'm feeling because TB and I were, I wanted to beat, I was mad. I was mad because, I take it personally when I can't convince him on a certain fight because, as you may hear on the show, we really try to be on the same side more often than not. And not because we're afraid to disagree or we don't want to disagree. I love to disagree with him. It's just that only one person can be right. So the idea is to pick as many fights right as possible. So if you're trying to do that together, chances are you're not actually going to be that different. If, if you're both good. So on this fight, I was begging him to bet Tatiana. And he's like, I'm not looking at the fight now. I'm not laying money now. I don't want to look at the fight. I don't care. I'm leaning Zhang, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, you know what? Whatever. I'm done talking about it. I laid plus 140, guys. I took 2.5 units at plus 140. Line continued to go, plus 115. You sure you don't want any? No. She hasn't proved it yet. Okay. I took a little bit, another taste, another unit. And he's like, okay, I'm going to bet her now. What did you end up with, TB? Plus 100?
No. I got plus 115.
Oh, you ended up coming in.
I had plus 115 that I surprised you with because it was a
did.
placeholder. And then we dropped the hammer down further at plus 102 on my end. And I think it just comes down to sometimes I can feel it coming in the air tonight. I don't know. There's just something about the fact that I think Zhang Weili has made so many improvements in her wrestling and grappling game overall from where we saw her early on in her career. It just makes me a little scared that she might be too happy to go into those waters. And I don't think that's something that should be tested. And when I was turning on the Tatiana tape, when I went down to see, like, okay, like, what's going to happen if this fight takes place on the feet? And, I don't think Suarez actually has that bad of range management. She's in a southpaw stance. She uses body kicks, to kind of keep the range and set the distance. She tries to land straight punches. She can fight off the back foot. She can stalk forward a little bit. So I feel confident that, Zhang Weili is going to have a bit of an advantage on the feet from a technical perspective. But I don't think it's actually going to be that bad. But in the wrestling department, I just can't imagine that Zhang has made up the gap that she needs to if they get into a scramble and she ends up accidentally in a front choke. They get into a scramble and she gives up her back. Like, I just think that these are unsurvivable positions for her to put herself in. And I think even if she's not getting finished on the early going, I don't think she's going to be able to stop the wrestling onslaught in the early going. So I'm not sure how it looks rounds 4, round 5, but I'm pretty sure we're going to see Tatiana winning handily on the early end. And I don't know. I came around to it. So I have inherent bias. Zhang Weili was on like the first pay-per-view card that we attended. I've bet her basically every single time she's fought. Joanna the first time, against Andrade, like everything. But I mean, here, just not in this one, I don't think. I think the wrestling is a bit too much. But Dan, you've been sitting here listening to us where we're at. I'm so sorry, Ghost Phantom, if you're still here. I feel like I've let you down. But Dan, what are you going in this fight?
You're muted, so we're gonna have to wait a minute.
Oh, sorry. I got the Team Weili gang in the house. So if anybody's got to apologize, it's me here, guys. I'm sure I picked against her probably once before. Maybe it was the Andrade time. But it's tough. I came in more like TB, and I'm still second guessing myself. And I got the biggest play of the entire card on this fight, guys. And I'm still second guessing it. And I already laid it, and I'm already going to own it. And that's what it is. I'm just being honest, because I usually fall on the line of the more what's more proven, right? And when you think about that, that makes sense logically, much less if you're putting your money behind any kind of air quote logic or decisions you make. That being said, we know how gambling is. And, this kind of reminds me of betting line wise. I'm not saying, maybe some of the things, southpaw or whatever, not really stylistically, but, Conor and Aldo, right? And big Aldo fan, right? Like everybody else was. And, Conor didn't turn me and the masses off at that point. This was martial artist Conor, for those who were around back then, right? The UFC 194, whatever it was, rise to that fight with Aldo. And I think I had my breakdown in before time because they were going to fight in the summer. And I ended up picking Conor, and Conor ended up closing probably like a minus 120 or something like this. And yeah, he went and did it 13 seconds a minute. And, we all felt like geniuses. But if we're being real, even as somebody who ended up being right, I can still say, I was betting on what I didn't know. I was betting on information that wasn't as solid. That's just a fact. But that is betting. That is gambling. That is the essence. It's a gamble. It's not. There's nothing safe about it, right? So as long as we're being honest about that. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm on the Suarez side, and again, it doesn't have to do with bias of coaching. I don't even know if Eric will be in the corner. She works with, of course, Nate Pettit, who's not as known of a coach, more of a MMA striking Muay Thai guy. Seems to be, equipping Suarez with like your basic southpaw weapons. And we haven't seen a lot of Zhang against southpaw. She's technically 1-0 against Amanda Lemos, but Lemos, like a fighter Wang Cong, who we'll talk about, lists herself like a southpaw, but mainly fights orthodox, right? I'll have more on that as far as the southpaw report. But basically here, when you look at how Zhang would deal with the stance, she throws a lot of kicks. And what swayed me is watching the tape. Sometimes I'll watch the tape, and I don't know if you guys have this as bettors, and you guys are analysts yourself because you're analyzing these bets. You guys are breaking down fights really well in your show. You guys have some type of structure that you go by, right? Yep. And every once in a while, you might be doing it, watching the fight, and you have that Leonardo DiCaprio gif moment. We're like, oh, right there. Yeah. Right there. Now, if we're honest, It doesn't happen every time, much less for every bet we place, right?
Definitely not.
Which is scary because if we think about it, we probably should be only reserving it for those moments if we're going to really put our hard-earned dollars behind it. But I did have those moments that I had them for Suarez, and it came to two things, guys. It came to kick counters. Zhang Weili, through all iterations of her, has always been very susceptible to that. And also one of her favorite takedowns, which is the inside trip. Even when she was working under Henry Cejudo, which was the camp where she lost to the second Rose fight, which people will point at that, but Rose held her down and she lost. And it's like, well, it probably should have gone to Zhang Weili first of all. So I mean, Rose
we were there.
won for one, but for two, good point. But also you have to remember she wasn't working with Josh Hinger or the Hickman brothers. And I know Bang Tao Muay Thai has you're like, oh, Thailand Muay Thai gym. Well, again, I train at Tatiana Suarez's gym, Extreme Couture, but I was also lucky enough to go to Thailand and train at Zhang Weili's new home gym. And there are a ton of women to work with, but more importantly, a deceptive amount of wrestling and high-level grappling that you wouldn't think is there. And I think we've seen that improved with Zhang Weili's fight. She'll do more instead of laying on her back like with that Rose fight, right? Now we'll see her put the foot on the hips, kick off, and things like that. But here's the problem is even in those scrambles, when she'll do more of a technical getup, she's still kind of giving her neck. And when you kind of turtle a bit to your base, you give two things. We always point that, you're giving your back. You're giving your back. Don't give your back. Don't give your back. Well, it also allows for front headlocks, not just back exposure, but turtling allows for front headlocks. And you guys were mentioning the front headlock game of Suarez. And yeah, these are really tough to survive positions. And it may feel like she only may need a couple of those. And as far as cardio goes, even though this isn't proven, I'm not counting on Suarez to gas if it goes late. I would argue, in fact, that Suarez, despite being the less proven party, actually, I may project actually to do better in this kind of a fight. Because think about it. Regardless of are you right or wrong about her cardio, is it a 6? Is it a 7 out of 10? Is it an 8 out of 10? Not even talking about that game, right? Let's phrase it this way, which I do with a lot of bets, and you guys should too, to play devil's advocate, which is, okay, we got a Zhang Weili ticket. We're in rounds 4 and 5 where she should have the advantage. But from a stylistic standpoint, something might have gone wrong if we're late in that round, How are you telling me that you've been able to avoid takedowns for flawlessly for 4 rounds? And as hard as that is, let's just say that's the case. How have you not finished Suarez at this point, if that is the case, right? If you're really thinking in these hypotheticals. And in victory or defeat, despite being the more proven fighter, it is a regular basis for Zhang Weili, even though she's an excellent athlete. I think she's a better athlete and a more dependable athlete than even Suarez, right? She's got strong second wins, but she consistently tires and does the Jose Aldo thing where she takes rounds off to recoup. And she will consistently drop those middle rounds, even in fights we think she should have won, like the Rose fight, guys, right? Win or lose, these things happen. And again, with somebody who has a game that's in the game over territory, where, like you said, maybe they only need 1, 2, 3 at most times swings at bat to close the show, that could be dangerous. Do we even get to rounds 4 or 5? So by that logic, if we're following along, apologies for the long-winded explanation, I feel like this fight is, and I believe it's lined the same where it's favored to finish under, but I really do believe that. And this is a hot rounds fight for me, where whether you like Suarez or not, her hot rounds are rounds 2, 3, and 4. I sprinkled all those with .33 little Scottie Pippen shots on all those. But I think Zhang Weili's hot rounds, if I did a somewhat of a hedge, is rounds 1 and 2. I think she's going to be able to get the jump. She's going to have her best chances of scrambling away while she's fresh. She's going to have that athletic pop. Any kind of nervous tension, any kind of easing into the fight, finding her reads, getting caught on entries. That's all going to happen to Suarez early, right? Where Zhang is traditionally turned on. So I sprinkled Zhang 1 and 2, and then 2, 3, 4 Suarez. And then lastly but not least, the guys, 2 units, Tatiana Suarez on a terrible line. Mr. the most opposite, the CLV hater, coming in at -120 for 2 units.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Oh, baby. Well, it's the chronic combat conglomerate and the protect your neck.
Trifecta.
It's the
Zhang Weili's winning.
Bet. That's it.
No, I don't know. I really don't think so. There's a few reasons why I really do think so, right? I mean, she's got the height, she's got the reach, she's got the age. And one of the major things I think is really, really important is that Tatiana Suarez is an elite at some. I mean, she's an expert wrestler. And I'm not sure, like, Zhang is a fantastic striker, but I just don't know that is Zhang a better striker to
Zhang.
Suarez a better wrestler? And I don't think so. I think that where Suarez is able to dominate, Zhang will not be able to make up for it. Whereas Tatiana Suarez's striking will be serviceable enough to get this done. And Dantam, I do like the under as well. I think that Zhang is going to put herself in a bad spot on the mat. She absolutely could get subbed.
The grandma's
one last thing.
Play.
One last note on that. Yeah, she does get greedy in my notes. She gets greedy even as good of a back taker she is. She is definitely like a submission before position almost. A lot of times she can get that way. And just to finish a thought that I left out, especially for the PY and faithful, this was a read I was telling those guys about, that the inside trip. You see it, Gianni and Jacek and Carlos Esparza, I believe both counter Zhang Weili. Like, you'll see her counter throughout her career, kind of going for that takedown. Yan Xiaonan as well. Granted, she was a bit hurt in that fight, but you see it countered. And then I had the Leonardo DiCaprio moment because I was watching the a fresher version of Carlos Esparza facing Tatiana Suarez, and she went for an inside trip. Right, the only person that can hold a candle to inside trips are wrestling to Weili, Giancarlo Esparza, the best wrestler for a while in the division. And Suarez just reversed that shit like second nature. She knew the reversal and everything. So just like, I just see certain moves that I know that doesn't mean everything, guys, just because the puzzle piece fits. That doesn't mean they're going to win. But I can't ignore stuff like that. So I just wanted to add that in there.
Oh, I love it. And I wasn't sure where you'd end up on this one. I am happy to see you on our side because I think we're bringing back the mojo, baby. We're getting Dan Tom on a new winning.
I'm happy to see you on our side because we're on the right side, and I want to see you making money.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Thank you. Yeah, me too.
Oh, yeah.
Me too.
We're bringing back the mojo for Dan Tom. Let's get it, baby. All right, it's Justin Badman Tafa versus Chicao Tallison Teixeira.
What does Chicao mean?
It's like Chico, almost like little boy, something like that. But Brazilian.
Obviously, because he's the opposite of a little boy, so that's hilarious.
Yeah, he's fucking. I mean, look at this guy.
Oh, look at him. Wait, hang on. Breaking news from Love Handle Scouting MMA. Please give us the read.
We've got a 7-inch height advantage. We've got a 9-inch reach advantage, and we're looking at 6 years younger for Chicao. And man, look at those love handles on Justin Tafa. Can those handle some body kicks? Because I hope they're ready. We're looking at some teepees. We're looking at some roundhouses. We're looking at some calf kicks. And Teixeira, he's going to try to just do the 1-2 and kick his way to victory. But he's going to get excited at some point. And when he does, the fight's going to be over soon after. It's just a question of who's going to do it, you know?
Who do you got?
Well, Teixeira, I really do like the fact that he does at least try to use his reach to his advantage. And when I see him get in the most trouble, it's against an opponent that's willing to throw together like 5-6 punches in combo, coming together on the front foot, pushing into the clinch, trying to get to the fence. But Teixeira's got good timing. He tries rolling with stuff. He keeps a high guard when he gets in danger. And I don't think it's just like him blindly going into the pocket. Like, on Contenders, he catches this guy trying to come in with a beautifully timed calf kick to kind of destabilize, debase, take him off his feet. And that's before we even got into the real shenanigans of that fight. And I hear a lot of people saying he's not defensively sensible. He sees red and he goes crazy. And it's truly the fact that his opponents have no other choice to close the distance but to see red and go crazy. And he's actually the one trying to play Matador, trying to stay safe, but he's fighting in the 20-foot Apex cage or even smaller regional show cages for LFA. Now in Sydney, we got the bigger guy with a huge reach advantage that's younger and faster, and he's got the big octagon to work with. I think it's Chicao, and I think it's going to be violent. I feel like the line could get closer, though. And that's where I'm hesitant to play the money line. But the Guru, once again, what have you done from a prop perspective on this fight?
Well, I just feel like this fight is going to be one of two ways, which is really how I feel heavyweight MMA tends to go. I mean, either these guys go out there and kill each other, or it's the sloppiest, disgustingest, most boring decision you could ever bet. And
Sloppy
if you are a longtime watcher of this show, you know how much I love betting heavyweight overs and how much money I've actually made doing it. It's one of our best props that we pick.
Yes.
And just last week we got burned betting a fight doesn't go to round 2 in a stupid, disgusting, sloppy, terrible heavyweight. Yeah. Yeah.
The big meal.
No, it was Jairzinho.
Oh,
Yeah,
that one. Okay.
That one. It was not ideal.
Oh.
No, yeah. We knew because actually there were 3 heavyweight fights last week, and didn't all of them cruise?
No.
No, I did.
Shamil did it early.
No, Shamil did it early. Yeah, no, we knew Shamil was going to eat that big meal.
I had a Fatty's PRP that just went down the drain.
Oh no, we don't like
It's okay.
that.
It was fun. It was for fun. I mean, you can't be too attached. But I agree though. Fatty's, the books have caught on. I mean, they're chalking this shit up to Guru's point, folks. He's not, he's not talking out of his ass here.
So when I look at this guy, I mean, Tallison's finished all of his fights in round 1, right? Every single one of them, right? 7 fights, 7 round 1 finishes. And you look at Justin Tafa, and he's literally the only fights that have gone out of round 1 have all been the disgusting, sloppy fight I'm talking about, 2 decision losses. But he does actually have 2 round 2 TKOs. So if this fight somehow gets out of round 1, it's going to be dangerous. So are you telling me, do you feel that it could be a coin flip, whether we get out of round 1 or not? I'm a gambling man. I'm saying, you know what? I'll take that. I'll take a coin flip to see if we get out of round 1 or not. And I've got even better. I found plus 105 over on Bet Rivers. On Bet Rivers, plus 105. A fighter gets a finish in round 1. So essentially, fight does not start round 2. Plus 105. So I'll take plus money on this fight to end in round 1 all the time. I think what's most likely is that they really like this Tallison Teixeira guy, and they're putting him on the main card against a home crowd guy, because as soon as he knocks out Justin Tafa round 1, everybody knows his name, because Tafa does have name value.
So I want Dan Tom to go next, but I do have one final point for some context. I'm just curious if Dan touches it first before I steal it. So you go ahead.
Go. Take it.
All right. So can we contextualize Justin Tafa's wins and losses? Because if you're this is why I'm on Teixeira, by the way, is that any time that the fight's gotten out of the first round, it's been a loss for Justin Tafa. Like, we don't have a decision.
Well, that's not true. He's got 2 round 2 TKOs.
What? Not in the UFC, so it doesn't matter to me, frankly.
All right, well, that's true.
Yeah, he's at such a severe height and reach disadvantage. Like, if we're going farther, it's that Teixeira's styling on him and avoided being murked himself. And if we're going to decision, well, if Jared Vandera and Carlos Felipe, guys that didn't have such a severe advantage.
Did Felipe really beat him, though?
I mean, have you seen those love handles and the way that he moves them? He's a beautiful man.
Just because you're turned on and distracted doesn't mean you shouldn't score the fight properly.
But to my point further, the only wins that Justin Tafa has in the UFC are by round 1 knockout. Juan Adams, Harry Hunsucker, Parker Porter, Austin Lane. The context of those names is Teixeira. Yeah. There's a reason this guy was minus 1,000 on Contenders, and there's a reason why even going to Australia, he's still a favorite in this fight. And as I did the meta-analysis, going back over the last 3 UFC Australia cards for pay-per-views, we actually have a 50% hit rate on Australian fighters. It actually does not give you an advantage to be a hometown fighter. And if you're coming from Brazil or another Latin American country, you're actually 9-3 versus native Australians over the last.
Wait, what? You pulled that up? No, it's 9-3.
Yeah, I went through it. I texted all this to you.
No, I didn't remember.
Well, now that I've given it out on the show, I can tweet about it.
That's actually huge at 9-3. I didn't know
that's funny. I used to always say that the Australian refs hate the Australian fighters. When you look at like what John Sharp, the beating he allowed Mark Hunt to take from Miocic, or fucking everyone's favorite. What's his name? When Bader beat up Perosh, it looked like Perosh was AFK from his keyboard, and Bader was just ground and pounding him. Like, yeah, the Australians are not kind of their own out there, man. That's a good
Yeah.
stat.
So, Dan, what are you?
That's a
taking in this
really
fight?
good. That's not just a great stat. It's just an unbelievable trend. I'm so glad you did that meta-analysis, TB, and I think we need to start looking at more of that because
Yeah.
nobody's doing that type of stuff.
I was just curious, and it was also the same thing last week when I looked at the Saudi Arabian judges. When you actually look at places that have bias, if you're looking at split decisions, and this is why we bet 3 units on Hamdi, if there's a split decision, it's going to the Arab or Muslim fighter every single time. It's not like this is not.
He deserved it though. If you put Hamdi in that conversation, I won't do the show anymore. Because you can't. I won't stand for the Hamdi slander.
All right,
John Jones is ducking him. Like you heard it here. I'm telling you, he's running. He's terrified.
Please save us, Dan. Please save us. What do you got here?
That's right.
Do you like my bet? Do you like my bet? You like my under?
Under? Yeah. I don't.
Well, round one doesn't start round two. I don't care who wins. I cash.
I'm a fatties guy, and I see this one ending with an early knockout. So by default, even though I'm a fatties guy by default, I gotta agree with you because I see this one ending early. So if I'm on the opposite side of you guys, I'm going against the tall guy. I don't know what Zhikao is. By the way, do we find out what Mahadinho is? All we know is that it's big, right? That's all we know.
It's like it's like a bad man, like a little bad man.
I bet. Speaking of Mahadinho, I'm a little disappointed on the graphic that you guys didn't squeeze in girth, especially for a matchup like this, because we're sitting here shitting on the stats for Tafa, but if we had girth on there, I think he'd be on the board, guys. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Dan, you're the one in Las Vegas. You got to get him the credentials so he can go start measuring the girth. He'll stand in there with the kit people.
Yeah, could you imagine if I was a commission member? I'd be like, all right, bring out the towel. He's like, I'm 2 pounds under. Got to take off your shorts, buddy. I'm sorry. every guy, and I look over the camera and wink, like, oh, God, what's Dan up to?
That's so great.
I'm going with Tafa here. Tallison Teixeira hasn't really fought southpaw, so it's tough to tell. He did face one, not a UFC level one, it's going to be in the report over in maybe it was an LFA or something. But yeah, the dude was just like typical, like the Contender Series guy was like overweight yet undersized for heavyweight, and the guy looked like terrified to be there. So I don't know what that told us, but even that guy was able to counter Tallison when he wanted to. It's just how good are you at tetherball? Because he's got classic kind of tall guy defense, and those southpaw counters are going to be super live. But do I want my money touching this fight? Like I don't feel comfortable with it, man. Maybe because I got burned from heavyweights last week, and I'm going against my favorite overs. But yeah, no action. Tafa round 1 KO.
Smart enough.
I'll cash. That's the best part. That's why I love my bets so much because I get to double my money, and I don't have to pick who wins. I actually, Dan, I do hope you cash, but I just don't know that Tafa's going to get there. And if this guy's faster, which I do think he is, and his punches are straighter, which I think they are, and I think he's going to work the body as well. I just don't. Because I was thinking Tafa early because I'm like underdog could crack this guy. What has he proven? Main card debut. Dana White Contender Series guy. Like this is classic fade territory for me, Dan. But I don't think this is the spot. I think this guy's I think he might be the real deal, at least at heavyweight, right? Because we know that the higher the weight class you go, the more technical skills, it doesn't matter as much. So when you see a guy this technical, I think he's going to do well, and I think they know that.
All right, we're moving on. We've got Jimmy the Brute Crute versus Rodolfo Trator Bellato. This is going to be
great fight.
Yeah,
great fight.
An absolutely great one. There's a lot of hashtag outside the octagon concerns when you look at Jimmy Crute, but inside the octagon, this has got to be the easiest opponent that he's had in a pretty solid amount of time. But Rodolfo coming out here, he's definitely, the dude looks like a tractor. I get it. He's got some girth. It's just, I really don't think he's in the best shape he could be. I don't think he's got as good of defense as it's going to take to survive the real competitors of the 205 division.
Yeah, was it
Ihor.
what showed you that? Was it getting knocked out by Pillow Fist Vitor Petrino, the wrestler? Was that it?
Or was it getting knocked down and nearly knocked out by Ihor Potieria?
That fight was fucking hilarious. That fight says, listen to me, guys. Listen to me very carefully. That says everything you need to know about this fight. He beats Ihor Potieria by somehow weathering the storm. He was dead. He's dead. It was so bad. And Ihor is just really one of the worst fighters of all time and couldn't get it done. So I just feel like when you look at something like that, I also when you look at his last fights, right? Dr. Stoppage versus Anthony Smith, where it was the same injury that I think happened to Sean O'Malley in the first Cheetah Vera fight. Like, you just literally can't fight. I mean, it's a 1 in a million type of bullseye. Good for Anthony Smith. Jamal Hill, at the time, future champ, decent guy, gets clipped round 1. He has terrible striking defense. Not surprising. And I think Alonzo Menifield's a bad matchup for him because he's out athleticized, and the dude's a decent enough wrestler. And he's got the same type of power. Like, there's no power advantage either way. Like, that's actually really more on Menifield's side, obviously. So that was really just not a great matchup for him. In this fight, however, again, you're watching this guy lose to Ihor Potieria until, like, literally he's losing round 1. He's an underdog on the live lines. And he somehow snatches it back out of nowhere because Ihor's really that bad. So I think the Australian underdog of the main card is actually Jimmy Crute and not Mr. Justin Tafa. So I think they want Crute to do well. I mean, he retired, and I understand like that mental part of it. That's a huge part. He absolutely could quit here, especially if he doesn't finish Bellato.
Right.
But this is not a fight that like you want to lay big money on. Like, I have run to the window to bet a bunch of dogs on this card or a bunch of different bets, and this was not one that I'm rushing to do. But I do like the dog here.
Heavy consideration.
Well, let's hear what Mr. Dan Tom has to say.
What do you got cooking?
Yeah, I like what you're saying too. As far as this is probably the most viable Australian underdog on the main card off the top of my head. On the main card for sure, maybe the whole card. That being said, do I want my money on this fight? Not necessarily either. I'm getting bad vibes from this one. Maybe because I was a believer in Crute. I took a shot against him against Jamal Hill. I think I may possibly. I don't know if I had heavy action on him, but I definitely picked him to beat Menifield. And man, those are just crazy, weird fights. And you don't know where he's at. He was training a lot with Jake Matthews and another Australian fighter who may or may not be on this card. But yeah, they went up up to Bangtown Muay Thai and did a lot of training there. Looked like he kind of just took this time off and rejuvenated himself. When you look at his speed and his skills, skill for skill, he is the more skillful fighter than Bellato. Bellato is bigger though. I mean, this guy's a heavyweight, right? For sure. And he can make things ugly. And if he can do that and survive a storm, he definitely, can come out on top here. And I wouldn't be surprised. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pick Jimmy Crute. If you want to get cute or degenerate, like, maybe like some, Crute inside the distance, or fight ends in round 2. Sometimes I like those for certain matchups. And this feels like a matchup where like both guys are going to be, scared. They're both coming off layoffs, retirements, and or injuries, and or losses or near losses, right? So there's a lot of reasons for both parties to be a bit tentative in that first round. But due to their nature, I don't think they're going to be able to help themselves. And because of that, I think there's going to be an answer found in that round 2.
I like it. Jimmy the Brute. Here we go. All right, we're moving on. Oh, look at that.
Did you give him that nickname?
Who?
Jimmy.
I thought he's Jimmy the Brute Crute.
Is he?
I thought so. I didn't think that was original, by the way, for whatever it's worth.
I'm looking it up.
How about we call Jake Matthews, the Celtic kid?
Oh, yeah, he is the Brute.
Yeah, son of a gun. Versus Francisco Epero Prado. That's a TP nickname, the dog.
Why'd you call him El Perro? That's actually not bad.
That's not bad. He's a fucking dog, man, but I don't think that helps him here, quite frankly.
No, I don't think so
He's
either.
given up too much reach. Like all the times that we've seen Jake Matthews have a bit of, difficulty, it's guys that can outsize, guys that can outpower,
and out wrestle.
Out wrestle, kind of show him what's what. Prado, for all of his
flash and striking substance.
Vigor. Yeah.
What? Youthful figure. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Listen, go jerk off in your own time. You don't need to do it on camera right now.
I'm feeling vigor. And vigor. All right. Then Francisco Prado, my problem here is that I don't think he's fixed enough defensively to navigate the Jake Matthews Bull and Matador game. And if not, I don't think he's fixed enough defensively from a wrestling perspective. If Jamie Malarkey is not getting chinned by you and can wrestle you, I probably have the feeling that Jake Matthews could do similar.
I was going to say,
who's even
taking him down? Who's even tried to? I mean, obviously, if you're getting taken down by striker Jamie Malarkey, that's not fucking good. Atman Azaitar, he's shooting takedowns like he didn't have fucking steroids in that backpack and fucking potatoes. And Daniel Zellhuber, again, kickboxing, not really shooting takedowns. So fight was awesome, really close for round one. And then basically the second round 2 starts, Prado is bleeding and dead, tired.
Oh, but Jake Matthews looks so bad versus Matthew Semmelsberger. What if you put Matthew Semmelsberger standing next to Francisco Prado? That is my question. What would it look like?
It would look like Prado is his prison bitch. I was gonna say TV looks like it sounded like he wanted to make Prado his Prague.
Yes, he does.
And I'm like, there's the nickname right there. Francisco the Prague Prado. Watch eyes for those of you who are not familiar with the terms and references here.
Oh my god.
Oh god. What do you got here, Daniel?
All right. For me, I'm going off. Sorry, I just watched Oz. I was a little late on that show. It's the first HBO show, even before The Sopranos. For those,
I didn't watch that one, but I heard it's good.
Well, you obviously love The Wire, Guru. So anybody who likes The Wire, and Sopranos, you can watch that and you can see a bunch of characters, major and otherwise, in Oz. I wouldn't say it ages as well as Sopranos or The Wire. Those are like the GOAT shows, obviously. But like it is cool, worth watching, and you will feel like you're watching Dricus du Plessis and Mornay Levisser acting out in the corners. But back to this, I feel like staying in the Oz realm, Francisco Prado, he's the new guy at welterweight. He's kind of the new prison bitch, he's got the baby face. Everybody's like, "Oh, I want some of this," Whereas Jake Matthews, he's been there, he was like Bane. He's already had his shit pushed in, He's like, "Oh, what, my Irish brother up here, Sean Brady?" Nope, it was a trap. He's gonna push your shit in too, Jake. And, Jake, I think he's learned, you see him, he has a tattoo. He's much more hardened, He's in season 3 or season 4 of his series. We're still on season 1 for the Prague Prado here, baby. Give me Jake Matthews. I feel like it's either going to be a round 2 finish and you're having to choose Parker, I think it's going to be a club and sub. So I really do think it's probably more submission side. That's where the more clear advantage is for Matthews. But we've seen Matthews totally be okay with boxing for 3 rounds. So that kind of scares me for playing Jake Matthews here, as well as his money line. So no play as of now, guys, but I do see possible round 2 finish or a decision. Jake Matthews is the side.
Yeah, I mean, I jumped on the line as soon as it opened, at least for us anyway. I bet fight goes the distance. I thought I'd see some line movement on there. I haven't got any, so if you like it with me, you can play minus 135. I really do think that this fight does go the distance. Jake Matthews, I don't know, to me is just not somebody that, like you said, kind of forces the envelope to get a finish. He'll play it safe. I could see him riding out top control. He's just, not necessarily the biggest finisher. And then you look at somebody in Francisco Prado who is tough as nails. You don't get the nickname El Perro from TB if you're not a fucking dog. So I understand, in essence, people taking a dog shot on him. Hey, it's going the distance. Possible. Judges are not watching. Could score it for him. I just think that his pace and Jake Matthews' pace and pressure is going to wear on Prado. And then even if it gets dicey on the feet, Matthews is going to have that grappling advantage. But I think Prado's jiu-jitsu was decent enough to just keep him out of trouble. And I don't think Matthews does enough damage to get that finish. So I'm okay with laying chalk here, but you never know.
Jake Matthews' losses are all inherently forgivable when you look back when they
I mean, Michael Morales. I mean, the worst one, of course, is Semmelsberger, but you're saying he's huge. And Semmelsberger fought his best fight. So, I mean, it's really just not great. The other ones are Michael Morales, Sean Brady. I mean, Anthony Rocco Martin is really not great, but that was a, close fight, I guess.
Anthony Rocco Martin was a very solid prospect before he jumped the shark mentally.
Yeah, I guess. And then he was okay.
He was on a solid run. He was like undefeated at one point.
He was solid. I liked him for a little while.
Same thing with like
James Vick is pretty getting subbed by James Vick, but you're young and he's a prospect.
James Vick was like his welcome to 170 moment.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I do. I do know about that. Anywho, we'll move on. I think we all touched it appropriately.
You definitely touched it. But you were inappropriate, which
make sure you guys
no problem.
Appropriately or inappropriately touch the like button. If you want to do a little play on the subscribe one too, go ahead and get a little double action. It would be much appreciated. Yeah. Jack Farr Jenkins. I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is? Jack Farr Jenkins versus Mosquitinho Gabriel Santos.
I think it's just it's like Tai Tuivasa is like for the area thing. I think it's just like I think it's just about his area where he's from in Australia.
Well, I think we're far from a Jack Jenkins dog shot. It seems like Mosquitinho could do whatever he needs in the grappling here. And I don't know. I'm afraid to just play this fight in general because I want to say Santos could sub him given the places I've seen him on better grapplers. But, Jenkins, he's tricky and he will maybe have the better, defense striking, offensively, he's going to land at a higher pace. It's just, I think at any point, Santos can and will land the takedowns and be the far better grappler. So I'll pass from a money line perspective. There's no parlay to be had for me on this.
No. That's not even remotely true.
Oh, no. Did I already do it?
Yeah, you already did
I placed one $10 parlay for the card.
You're like, I did one. Okay, so I had 1 8-ball of cocaine and whatever.
Just a little bit. Just a little touch. No, never. But
officer, he told me he was 13. Sir, that's still illegal, sir. That's
still he told me. Jesus.
Well,
what were you doing?
I don't know. I think Santos. I think by submission, but I'm not necessarily rushing on anything here. Because
I'm looking for the best line because I really just think I know it's a tough sell to bet him by sub when he hasn't had the UFC sub yet. But when you look at who he's fought, who's he sub? He probably should have subbed Yiza, but that dude's been really grilling his jiu-jitsu. He's really not that bad in terms of being on the ground. You're not finishing David Onama. He looked good round one and he gassed out from the he actually got rocked and then died. And then Lerone Murphy split. That was a really close fight. We talked about it early in the week, TB. We had a specific number in mind. Do you remember what number we had in mind?
Plus 400, but plus 300 might have been acceptable.
Well, not for me, it wasn't. But we can get plus 430 on Bet Rivers.
Oh, take me to Bet Rivers.
Jesus. So that's probably where we're gonna go. I don't mind a quarter unit sprinkle on that because I think it could absolutely, just be a fun way of attacking it. But I really feel that Gabriel Santos is safe in this spot. I don't trust Jack Jenkins' game. He looked terrible in that Herbert Burns fight. If Herbert Burns doesn't jump for a leg lock instead of just staying on top, he might still be on top of him to this day. So, I just think if Gabriel Santos even watches a second of tape, you just tip this guy over and lay on top of him. And if you're doing that for more than 10 minutes, I think there's a good chance you're going to get a sub. So I'm cool with Gabriel Santos in a parlay, and I'm cool with taking a shot on the sub.
Take me to Bit Rivers. All right.
And as TB did a wonderful job doing the research, being from Australia and fighting on the Australian pay-per-view means absolutely nothing.
Say it again.
It's break even.
Whoa, far, huh.
So,
all right, that's
Absolutely. And even though, you could, highlight certain things like maybe the Jamal Emmers fight, certain scorecards or whatever, but like leg kicks, not as much as body work. It's not disrespected as bad as the body work.
I scored
leg
that
kicks
fight for
aren't
Jamal
exactly.
Emmers.
Yeah, they're not exactly always respected either, though, right? Leg kicks. So, and then when I looked at it, Santos, he lists himself orthodox, but this guy fights a lot of southpaw and switches his stance, and he fights arguably better from southpaw. So he's going to be able.
I'm so sorry, Dan. I literally texted that to TB as well during the week, and I didn't even look to see that it was listed as orthodox. But I texted TB. I'm like, this guy actually fights switch. And I was like, when I saw it was listed as orthodox, I'm like, well, that's wrong. He's switched.
Yep. And I think that's going to obviously come in handy because even if he does get caught with some of in the orthodox stance, he does have the option to switch, right? And he does have the option to mix up the targets, which will lower the overall amount of attempts and lands in general from Jack far and away Jenkins. I don't even know what far means. and Misquidinho sounds like it could be like a sexual insult for both men and women for different reasons. But that's a cool nickname too. But yeah, I'm going with Santos here. I actually parlayed him, which I don't like to parlay. I hate parlays. I'm not a parlay guy. I don't do well at anything, so it's always silly for me to say like, I don't do well with this. Like, boy, like, I will say though, it wasn't like like a Carlos Leal or Fakhretdinov or like any kind of robbery or whatever. But that was such a bad performance, Jack Jenkins versus Herbert Burns, because my favorite angle guys is hot rounds and fading 1-round fighters. And with the way I play rounds and tend to put things in round robins, it was one of those things where I didn't just have Jenkins in round 2. But he was in a round robin with some other things that already were hit and would have paid out massive if that round 2 connected to it. And that was pain, guys. That was pain. But that's not why I'm making the decision here. And what I like to do with parlays, especially because Guru mentioned it, I also don't mind throwing a quarter unit on submission because only if it's applicable. But let's say I have a 2-leg parlay, what I like to do, and this doesn't always work out. Sometimes you can only maybe do it with 1 leg. But if you can do it with at least 1 leg, do it. Where you're like, okay, I'm already laying a unit on this parlay per se, but like if it's a case where like, wait, Santos could win, one of the fighters I'm betting on really has a good chance of winning by this method, right? And plus 400 isn't like the sexiest number. That's what I got. But even at a quarter unit at plus 400 wins you back that unit, right? So meaning that my second leg, which I'll give to you guys shortly, we'll get to this fight. If that falls off, that's fine. At least my 1 leg came through. And if he comes through in the way I think he's going to come through, I try to set it up so that little extra sprinkle pays off for the parlay exposure, if that makes sense. So quarter unit on submission, which I will be throwing in the round robin as well. Unfortunately, the houses that I round robin have it at a shitty plus 350 number. So not sexy. And I don't depend on round robins. They're just for fun. So the main play here is Santos parlay and quarter unit sprinkle by sub.
Nice. Hey, let's ride the train together. Choo choo, the Gabriel Mosquitino Express is ready to take off.
And listen, and if you're on Jack Jenkins, I don't mind what the boys in the chat are saying, real fights and Rem Dog. Like, yeah, I mean, I think Jack Jenkins' best path would be decision. And like we talked about, hey, maybe a little hometown cooking. Why not? Plus 400, little sprinkle. It's the same sprinkle that we're taking on the sub. So we're all degens, right? Gotta get our taste somewhere. So I don't mind it.
Big Train, Thomas the Train, Tom Nolan versus Viacheslav Borshchev Slava Claus. Don't tell your children, but Slava Claus is coming for Christmas.
Could you imagine if that guy slid down your chimney? Nobody would like Christmas. Nobody would like Christmas.
Dancing in the living room. Just kicking the children.
No, but like shirtless with this crazy swirled chest hair. Like, yeah.
Slava Claus.
So great.
He looks like part of those old school Christmas drawings that are like all mushroom based. You guys know what I'm talking about? Like demonic elves and shit. Like he looks like him in the Fighting Foam or Josh Emmett should be hanging around the Christmas mushroom tree.
Yes.
Sorry, digression.
I mean, things that are in Bryce Mitchell's nightmares. Tom Nolan comes in here plus 100, Slava Claus minus 120. Talk about some anthropomorphic advantages. Tom Nolan, 4 inches taller, 4 inches of reach. He's going to be, 7, 8 years younger. Math is not mathing quite as much for me as I'd like at this exact second, but it's somewhere around there. And I mean, Tom Nolan fighting in his home country, does that matter? No. But what does matter is if anybody is going to have wrestling upside,
it's not a negative either, though, TB. It just doesn't matter. It's a break even. It's not a positive or a negative.
Right. So for like a younger, inexperienced guy, this could offer the type of security and comfort he might need.
You're trying to offer him security and comfort.
To dabble into his wrestling depths. My concern is we haven't seen enough of it to be like that confident in it. But at the same time, we've seen Slava's chin, if he is worried about it, and if he is
that's a lie. You're lying. You're a fucking liar. Have you ever seen Slava's chin? No. It's covered by the beard. You're a fucking liar.
That's why he's able to survive some of these concussions.
Okay, go ask fucking Chase Hooper, and go ask my boy fucking Keith Peterson for robbing me of the round 2 knockout that I absolutely should have had and will be bitter about till the day I die. Fucking had to choke him out. Listen, I begged. This was the second fight I had begged TB about early in the week. I saw it immediately. I was like, why is Tom Nolan plus money to Slava Claus? It doesn't make any sense. Slava's not very good. Sure, he's a decent enough striker, but like go ask fucking Chase Hooper how good his striking defense is. It's not fucking great. He cracked them bad. So go ask James Lontop, who I fucking bet on James Lontop, and it goes to split. And I don't know that he deserved it. It was fucking greasy as fuck as that big of a favorite. Sure, Tom Nolan didn't finish Alex Reyes in his last fight, but that to me was almost more of a positive because I desperately needed to see Tom Nolan go 15 minutes. We all did. We need to see him have the gas. Sure, he didn't face any resistance, but what kind of resistance is he going to face here? Striking? I mean, the dude's not Thomas Mota. Nicholas Mota. I don't know what Thomas. Nicholas Mota. Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson.
Nicholas Mota's got fucking hands, man. I mean, the dude's been fairly impressive in his UFC run. So, give me the dog shot on Tom Nolan here. Age, size, gonna be a striking battle. Fuck it, we ride.
Wow. TV, where were you headed? I know you were. I don't know if it's just me, but all your breakdowns sound lecherous, and I mean that in the most, complimentary way. But
that's why he's literally the analyst, and I'm the color commentator. Because like after he gives his technical analysis on anything, there's nothing left. At least for somebody like me, Dan. You're one of the most technical guys on the market. Well, so that's why we love you.
Yeah, but see what outweighs that is our dirty minds, and TV can't say but a couple words before me and Greg are like, "Oh, he's talking about dicks," so that's more what I'm talking about. But so yeah, maybe I'm on an island here, guys. But I've been on an island before when it comes to fading Tom Nolan. I've never been impressed. I got so much shit for taking Nicholas Mata against him. And then whatever Nicholas happened, I think I took shit for taking Nicholas Mata again after that fight. And then I think I took Nicholas Mata and I cashed him again. And so
I wanted to take him versus Bakary and TB. I mean, I should have my own balls, but TB would not let me.
Oh,
he's like, no, I don't like that play. He's not going to do it. I'm like, come on.
But the thing was that it's right hands that are dropping him a lot of the times. But if you look at it, it's a lot of counter hooks from both sides, and even the right hand that drops him from Mota, and then he gets dropped in his very next fight.
Before he gets Victor fucking Martinez.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
Against Victor Martinez. Yeah, it's terrible, and it was just like they were both left hook right hands, by the way. So it's actually the left hook that's kind of stomping him up, and the left hook can often be the southpaw killer. Well, what's Borshchev's best punch? His left hook. But Leonardo DiCaprio moments aside, I had to go back and go through the tape because, again, the Southpaw report. And this is why stats are – another reason why stats are bullshit, forgive me, by the way. Because even when I do my own super hipster, unique southpaw stats that nobody does, guess what, guys? That doesn't mean I'm Zhang Weili is 1-0 against southpaw. I love Zhang Weili. Did I pick Zhang Weili? No. Now, ultimately, what matters is if I'm right or not. But there's plenty of instances where the stats don't necessarily tell the tale, right? Whereas Borshchev, on the other hand, he doesn't have a southpaw, and he's 0-1-1, right? He's got the draw to Sadikov, which I'll touch on because that plays into my analysis and my potential hedge / added bonus play for this fight. And then he lost to Chase Hooper. Now, the Chase Hooper one, Chase Hooper, say what you will, he's actually legit improving. The dude is an insane for his size. He's somehow still a size bully despite moving up from 45. I don't know how he made it up there. Not really a bully, obviously. Chase Hooper is the last person to be a bully. I only say that to put the stamp down the fact that he's still a big guy. He's still a physical force. Is he athletic, explosive, bully, Chase Hooper, technical strength? No, but he is athletic, explosive, a force. He's one of the few fighters that the UFC has ever cared to bring up the right way since the pandemic. So he's actually got the chance to improve his skills. And if you look at that fight, Slava actually has a really good beat on the striking. He's really, hey, Fenyo, my guy, Fenyo. He's actually really dodging. He's got a really good beat. He misses a left cross, and then I believe he's got 2 left high kicks that he blocks. He's actually letting the punches like come really close. And it almost was like Slava's a guy that can get caught early, which plays into the spoiler alert under here for the potential hedge, because he does take time to kind of gain his reads. Like someone said, is Slava an elite striker? I don't want to be word police and like get too caught up into that, but I wouldn't say he's an elite striker. I would say the elite strikers, I'd be like Volkanovski, Topuria, Holloways, Poetans, Adesanyas. I think those are we can, whereas like Slava, I think he's a very skilled striker for MMA. He's a very talented striker. He's a very technical striker. I think it's very fair to say all those things, right? And whether you're on the spectrum as a B, B plus, or an A, like an Anderson Silva, a lot of those guys take a little bit of time to find that,
TB's
to find their range.
As an A.
Yeah, it probably is. To Team Spectrum represent. I should know, but I think a lot of it was that where it was, and not that Chase got lucky. Again, Chase is good. Slava did show that he had the timing, but when you're playing that game, it's a real game of inches. He just got caught, in other words, right? And 3, if he is going to get caught, whether it's in that fight, this fight, or the Sadikov fight, if you look at when he got dropped, it was in round 2, but it was in the under portion of the 1.5, right? It's early on in fights. And Tom Nolan cannot help himself. He runs straight forward, his head straight on a line. He's kicking and punching range, and if he gets away with it, he doesn't even, he must not be that grateful for it because he continues to punch and keep his head on line for anybody that can throw a counter. Even people who can't have knocked this guy down and almost finish him. Whatever Alex Reyes was doing just to finish his stint as a fighter, and that guy did beat some quality guys. He beat my guy Gil Gardado, who's a strength and conditioning coach at Extreme Couture. Gil owns a win over Giga Chikadze, so no slouches in those equations. But again, you look at where Alex Reyes was in his career. Like, what was that? Like, what was, it was kind of like the Jack Jenkins, Gilbert Burns fight in a sense where it's like, you should have looked more impressive than that, brother, And and not that it matters where you train, but Australia, for as much of a hotbed, we talked about, you got Volkanovski and his crew working with guys like Jamie Malarkey, and then they work with the New Zealand guys. And we got Jake Matthews over here with Stewie's House BJJ working with Jimmy Crute, and they go to Bangkok. All these men. Tom Nolan's not a part of any of that shit, guys. He doesn't cross train with any of these motherfuckers, guys. I went to his Instagram, and the highest level he's training with, it's people tagging him because he is the biggest fish in the pond. I picked him to get taxed before he even got started against Malta, where I got a lot of shit. I'm picking him here. Clearly, I'm passionate about this, guys. I'm not laying the 2 units on the minus 120 like Tatiana, but I don't know. I feel so fucking confident that Borshchev's going to knock this guy out, and his only chance is getting caught early. So I just did 1.2 units for a unit return on Slavikov's money line. As a potential hedge, I got it at minus 110, practically even money for under 1.5. I feel like, one of those or both of those are going to cash. In the round robin, I'm putting Borshchev by KO. Unfortunately, it's not a sexy number. So it's not like with like Rainier de Ritter where maybe I play the money line and then maybe just put a whole unit straight up on the sub that shouldn't be 3 to 4 to 1 odds, right? It's not like that. So I'll throw the KO in the round robin, hope that anchors down. And lastly but not leastly, I know I'm going 4 motherfuckers. Another round 2 bet. I might have teased that earlier. That makes 3 round 2 bets. But just a quarter unit. Borshchev round 2. I think I got it at plus 550. Because again, I think that's a hot round for him to get a finish. And he could finish after the over. So maybe I lose the under. That'll suck. Hopefully Borshchev can at least just get the knockout before the round ends at that point, if that makes any sense. Hopefully we're cashing all 4, baby. I could certainly use that, but I don't depend on it. I always have hedges and balance out. So that's how I played this one, guys.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's definitely a well-educated play there.
More work needs to be done. I mean, we got the best of our line, so we did our job in terms of that.
Sure.
Now our job is to go back and, double check our tape and see what we want to do. I think because you raise a lot of interesting points.
We always leave a cash out option if we can, based on the books we're on, whether it's an even number or something you could get a little bit on if it moves enough for you. So like Tatiana Suarez in a positive cash out territory. Nolan, it's probably still even based off of what we had taken.
Right, just the line. I mean, they're giving me 15% cash out on Tatiana Suarez right now before the fight's even happened.
Oof.
All right.
That's the only one I would want to cash out on right now, to be honest. My Suarez bet, I'm sweating. My money line bet. Not the rounds, but the money line, I'm sweating. Oof. Anyway, sorry.
All right. We're not joking around anymore. We've got the Joker, Wang versus Bruna, Bulldog Brazil, fighting nerd herself, coming out, making fun of Sean Strickland during fight week. I can appreciate that. Over 2.5 minus 180, under 2.5 plus 140. I have a feeling that that Bruna moving up a weight class is going to mean that her chin issues aren't going to be as big of an issue.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that the Joker is going to be happy to joke around a little bit more safely this time at distance. She should be the more technical striker, faster, a little bit better athlete. She's slightly more reach, nothing crazy, but she's a more filled out 125er than Bruna. And if someone was wrestling, I think that the Joker would have the most success in that regard. I just hope she doesn't show up with the makeup again for the face-off.
She better have learned her lesson.
Kind of played out. Please don't be like Marcus Perez. It doesn't work out in the long run.
And geez, Marcus Perez, so bad. I mean,
that was bad.
The bet I really like here, again, maybe I'm crazy. I like the fight to go the distance at like minus 158.
Yep.
I think that's an unbelievable price for a women's flyweight fight. I mean, they're fucking flyweights, guys. I don't care that she knocked out Victoria Leonarda.
Whoa, that's impressive.
No, it was not at all. And then you watched how terrible she was versus Gabriela Fernandez, and I'm so dumb for thinking that she could minus 950. Like, you have to be smoking crack. Like, I don't know what sometimes there's card fatigue. I don't know what sets in, but you look back on certain thoughts and you're just like, what the fuck? So I really like the fight to go the distance here. I think Cong Wang shouldn't probably get it done from just a volume and damage perspective. But I mean, at these prices, going the distance, I'm not touching her. She just shit the bed as a favorite. Would I be shocked if she did it again? No. And I do kind of expect that her chin issues won't be as bad here, which, by the way, one of the losses by knockout was a knee injury in round 2. So that's not really much. And the other one is fucking Denise Gomes, who's like legit fucking power. So
I'll play a unit on that. Let's take the fight goes to win.
To win a unit, I'm in.
Yeah. Well, Dan, Tom, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking along the same lines as you guys. If anything, this was the other fight I was talking about that I felt had. It's the only other fight outside of the main event that I feel like is worth a split decision prop if it gets there. But that depends on a lot of things. Again, that Bruna Brazil, even though she is moving up, she's got some length and stuff. So you kind of hope maybe that insulates her and gets maybe some respect, especially after a more athletic girl like Gabby Fernandez there was able to light Wang Song up. So you hope that maybe she's playing a little more tentative, and Bruna Brazil, I'm sure they're going to have their own game plan and not try to run into the fire. This is weird. I'm doing Bruna Brazil right now. I'm doing phrasing. I'm taping Bruna Brazil right now for the Southpaw Report, which basically is just her Contender Series fight against Marnik Man, who's fought in the UFC, though didn't win.
Woof.
But it's hard because Wang Song, she lists herself as a southpaw, but like I said earlier, she comes out and fights orthodox. So we'll see. She might actually fight southpaw because she might be like Machida, where they like the open stance look, where Machida would go orthodox against southpaws, even though Machida was a southpaw, so kind of thing. So we'll see there, but there's just a lot of variables. I don't want to touch this fight. I'll probably end up picking, Song by decision, but I don't hate that play. And I probably won't get there because my book doesn't offer split decision props for the female fights. Not only do I not get the worst of lines, guys, I just don't have the same options. It sucks. So I probably won't play it, but it's worth looking at.
Jeez, that's brutal.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you don't go offshore.
I do, but the only ones is like bet on Schmet online. But like if I had, dude, if I just had, forget all the fancy shit, just give me a round 3 decision prop that all you motherfuckers have access to. Holy shit. Even my shit record, shit bets, and shit luck, 3 all different things and all true. Even all those factored in, you give me round 3 decision. Holy fuck, does my record look different? Maybe not even positive, but this looks fucking different. Oh, so jealous of that one.
Wow.
That is a good one.
Sorry. I just love that prop. I love it. It's right up my alley. I just can't never touch it.
Come hang out in Jersey with us Soprano boys.
I know. I need to.
All right. We've got thickness with a slickness. Colby coming in, short notice replacement for a Kody they had to find Colby thickness. And on the other side, we've got El Cazador, Aleksandre Topuria, brother of the one and only Matador. We've got the Cazador. And we've probably got a round 1 finish on the Topuria side waiting to happen. It's like Thickness is wrestle or bust. He's not going to like how it's going from distance. If he panic shoots, it could be a submittilation. If he stays playing from distance, scared to engage, it could be a round 1 knockout. I could see many ways this goes. What I can't see is Colby coming out of here with more than 1 fight in the UFC. Topuria, and I think they're doing this for a reason. Easy enough. Guru, where do you disagree or do you agree?
I mean, this is basically the Hex Championship in bantamweight, but just here in the UFC, like Colby Thickness is your fucking Hex welterweight, not welterweight. Why am I saying welterweight? Bantamweight champion, and Topuria is going to come in and kick his ass. I'm not really deterred per se by the only round 1 finishes. I think he's training with a really high level competition. I think he's just taking this time off to just continue to get better and develop. Like, obviously he's getting the nepotism benefit of just jumping straight to the UFC, but I'm not necessarily convinced he wouldn't be on the radar otherwise, other than the fact that he's fought fucking nobody and not like you're fighting, in weird promotions. But yeah, I think he should get it done. There was really nothing I saw from Thickness that was super impressive. I mean, I watched him fight the guy Norman Agakropa. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. I mean, dude's this little tiny, Filipino guy. He's just he's flipping him off, and he's pointing at the ground. It was so fucking great. He's talking shit. He's getting up from all his takedowns, and then he finally chokes him out somehow sometime late in round 1. And I just don't. You're not going to be able to do that to Aleksandre Topuria. So I like Topuria here, and I like that over a lot. I just
over.
I do. I mean, because Thicknesse has never been finished. So unless he just snatches up a sub real quick, Topuria does, or I guess just brain. I mean, again, would it be shocking he brains him or snatches up a sub? Not necessarily to me,
I guess.
but I think the guy is tough and fairly, hasn't been finished before. So you're gonna have to kill him or sleep him.
I think we've seen Topuria do that to people way lesser than him. But Dan,
wait. Who is he fought? What competition has he fought that was better than Thicknesse? This is the best guy he's fought.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Like, I didn't know what I mean, other than maybe the guy he lost to in Ivo Ivanev, which I don't really take too much away from because it's his third fight. The dude's a legitimately juiced the fuck to the gills, legitimate lightweight.
Yeah.
And he beats the shit out of him for most of the fight, and then he gets tired. So, like, I don't take anything away from him for that. So, I think he's really high. He's got some decent talent. He's not his fucking brother, dude, but he's talented. So, I think he can get it done. I'm just not convinced that he's going to get it done by round 1 finish. If he does, maybe he's got the star on him too.
Yeah. Between one guy's last name's Topuria and the other guy's last name ends with niece. Raw. We don't like anything niece. And we're trying to say, hey, what is this niece? I don't like anything niece. I like Chinese. I don't like Japanese. I don't like thick niece. Here. And then I'll be them. And then the MMA better than me is going to come out. Raw. These fucking Asians. He's showing them in raw. Yeah, raw. I'm sorry.
That's a good accent.
That's pretty much the MMA Thailand this week, which is hilarious. Like the two languages and cultures who use it as a racial slur don't understand that it's a racial slur. Always hilarious. But no, I just, by the way, I'm going to do something because I do it myself, guys. By the way, I'm guilty of this shit too. I am not on a high horse here, but every breakdown show you guys listen to, anyone listen to this show, you guys can agree. You guys can agree silently or whatever, whether it's my show, this show, anyone's show, right? This isn't shitting on anybody. This is something we all do. So you just got to be able to laugh at yourself. But we do so much race science with we're like, well, this guy comes from this region, and it's to the point now where I'm going to record my own theme if I come back with my podcast, where it's just going to play a theme song whenever it comes up, and it's just going to be race science. You get caught up in the race science.
I think there are. It's so commercial. Funny because there just are certain things. People from Dagestan, generally great wrestlers. People from Great Britain, generally not great wrestlers. There's just certain things.
Oh. When I was coming up, the big thing was Brazilians. All Brazilians gas out past round 1. Brazilians are gassy. American wrestling, baby. This is the mid to late aughts. It's been around.
Now that's changed from. It's not just Brazilians. No. We're giving it to Shuto Box. If you're Shuto Box, you gas. But if you're fight nerds, you have cardio.
Yeah, it gets all over the place. It's just hilarious. So I'm making light of it, folks. I'm not getting serious here. Just making a joke. We all relax. But yeah, man, this fight I actually did tape on, and it is tough because both these guys are talented. Thicknesse actually has some hype behind him. He's one of Aleksandre Volkanovski's training partners, training under freestyle MMA Joe Lopez there. And both these guys are Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts. They both came up wrestling, not any kind of accolades, both for their regions or anything we would recognize traditional, for North American stuff, right? Nothing like that, but they came up wrestling, and you see it in their style. The athleticism and wrestling, I would say, goes to Topuria from what I see. He has that edge to him. That being said, as far as back taking and scrambling and being quick, Thicknesse probably has a advantage there. So if this gets ugly and goes long, I actually think Thicknesse is pretty live. I'm picking Topuria to win, probably by round 2, and I wouldn't be surprised if he won a decision either. That being said, if I'm looking to bet this fight, which I'm not, I'm looking to see if Thicknesse gets out of round 1 and what kind of price they put on Thicknesse. If it's better than the money line now, if it's same or greater than his money line now, then maybe I'm a little interested. Because Topuria, it was a long time ago, 2015 or something. One of his earlier fights, he showed that he gassed when it came, to the later rounds, and he looks like that type of guy. He's got the stance like Topuria, but he doesn't have the jab, folks. He doesn't have the lead hand. he really doesn't have much of a lead hand. He really looks to just kind of wing, power, get takedowns, heavy grounded pound, strong chokes if they're there, very dominant, but again, not pressure tested and not a style, even if it was, that I'm sure translates well along. So I say look to bet Thicknesse live for you live gamblers out there. Otherwise, the pick is Topuria.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I was on the thickness train, down with the thickness on my.
I think he says thickness. Like he literally says, like when he introduces his name,
Yeah,
like
okay.
he's like on the regional tape. I think he's like thickness. I don't even think.
I like
the bit,
right, because I think it's thickness. No, and you know why I especially think it's thickness, because his nickname is Slickness. Colby, Slickness, Thickness. Like that's what he called himself, and he didn't go Colby, Slickness, Thick Knees. Like that wouldn't make any sense.
I like some thick knees.
You want anything to do with thick men?
Yes.
No,
It's
see, get rid of that nickname. Boo, boo. I love Zoolander, so that's actually pretty fire. I don't mind.
Wow.
That.
I just think how about we just call him Colby Sickness because he looks like he has AIDS. How about we just leave it at that? I'm sorry.
Yes.
It's true. Look.
He has AIDS. He can't win. That's awesome.
Oh no!
Did you see the picture with him, with him and Volkanovski? He literally, I was like, damn, I didn't know he had cancer. That was crazy.
Yeah, not ideal.
No, he looked terrible. Maybe it was just his look. I don't know.
All right, it's time
but I really hate the Rongzhu nickname, but Kody Steele's a good one.
It's time to write your Rongzhu versus Kody Blue Steel. Oh baby, plus 195 on Rongzhu.
Everybody hit their Blue Steel on 3. 1, 2, 3. Did you not see Zoolander? Yeah, there you go, Dan. I was like, wait, you didn't do it.
I was captivated by the handsomeness of my fellow. This has got to be like the most handsome Asian matchup in UFC history. Say what you will about how we perform, people. All right, talk your shit. This is gonna be one of the more handsome presentations we got on the male side, right? If we can securely say so.
How is Kody Steele a real name? Like, did he change his name? How do you get the last name Steele? That's so fucking cool. It sounds like a porn name.
It is pretty awesome, man.
That is pretty nice. I actually am very much sad that I didn't make Rongzhu Zoolander. That would have been an incredible nickname.
Rongzhu. You could have just called him Lander. Rongzhu Lander.
Oh my god. Well, it's never too late to write my
No, it is when it's the nicknames and you suck.
And it's right your Rongzhu because he just can't seem to right his wrongs. And I think that this is the time. This is the time, exactly, and that's why I relate so much to the fact that Rongzhu's just going to run into another submission. Blue Steel, give me that deep stare. We're going on a
That's
train.
not all you want, deep.
Take the back, sink it in. We're looking rear naked style. It's Kody Blue Steel City. I think that this is the moment where Rongzhu has another mental break. And we see the grappling play its part down the stretch. Sub 2-3, Kody Steele, take me away.
Take me away. I mean, there's really not too much to add for me. I mean, watching Rongzhu fight to me was like, I texted TB. I mean, it was like watching paint dry. I mean, he's just not really fun for me to watch. I mean, just nothing impressive there. I really did like what I see from Kody Steele. I think this is about as safe as a landing as you can get in your UFC debut. He's a really talented prospect. And I think that his general pace, pressure, striking acumen, and then the willingness to, he really wants to wrestle and clinch more often than not. I think he's going to be relentless. And he's going to be the better wrestler than Rongzhu, which is generally where he wants to be anyway. So I think he'll be accepting of the bottom position as well. And I like Kody Steele to get it done. I'm not necessarily sold on a finish, but if he does, it'll be by sub. So, yeah, give me Kody Steele here.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And this kind of reminds me of the Jake Matthews Prado dynamic, not the Prag dynamic of it, but like the fact that like Cody Steele could probably strike with him and win a decision, but he's going to quietly have a grappling edge. People might have forgot about it with Matthews, and maybe the same thing for Steele because we really haven't had to see it. I'm more familiar with Steele for like shout out to fucking the grappling hour over there, my guy Raph and stuff. As far as the more grappling circuits, he came up doing a lot of the 10th Planet, a lot of the submission grappling circuits, and didn't even necessarily see himself getting into MMA. Now that he's in MMA, he looks like the second coming of Rick Story, working the body. So I like him. I parlayed him with he was my second leg with Santos there plus 111. I just put a unit on that. And so if that hits, that'll pay off the under. The potential hedge for the Borshchev Plessis. Everything kind of connects, hopefully. We'll see. I never count on winning everything, but we'll see. That's kind of how I have it set up. And shout out to my guy Brad, who says, if Zhu wrong, I don't want to be right. And the only nameplate I'll have is like, this is what I'll just do my impression of Zhu Rong's dad at Zhu Rong's wedding. Sally was looking for Mr. Right, but she found Mr. Wrong. That was actually a real joke off of the uncle's wedding. His last name was Wang, and someone made that joke. That's perfect. If you got that name, there we go.
That's
incredible.
So good. Oh my god, that's so good.
And this is why we needed Dan for this card.
Yeah, I mean, if you're losing to War Taco, you're gonna lose to Blue Steel. That's happening.
Yeah. Amen. Just give it a look. All right. We've
TV.
got. Yes.
You know what to do.
I'm the captain now. We have Air Jusey. Hi, welcome aboard Air Jusey. This is your captain, Kevin Jusey. And Jonathan Mikhailov, he steps up and he goes, no, look at me. I'm the captain now. And he sinks in rear naked choke or triangle. Something's happening here. I think we're taking a trip to Scrambles.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you can.
What has Kevin Jusey done to deserve this line? He got the shit weight
for Crosby.
Yeah, like I'm sorry, who the midget Irishman? That's who he subbed. Okay, he beat up for 15 minutes in a slow, boring decision. Song Kanan, who's terrible. Yeah, okay. And then what happened? Then at home, he was a punching bag, and he got laid on for 5 minutes from Brian Battle.
Well, he wasn't technically at home.
I know, but I know
training
Battle's
City
good.
Kickboxing.
Yeah, but like come on, man.
Well, what I will say is City Kickboxing not on the
fucking
best
French. What's up?
City Kickboxing not on the best run.
No, not at all, and not Izzy's done. Where is he? But I really think that somebody like Mikhailov is actually quite live here. I mean, this is a guy that has has finishes in multiple different rounds, right? He's got finishes in round 3, round 2 as well. He's gone the distance, won fights. I mean, his one loss is a round 4 finish. I think that after watching Brian Battle clinch him up for 3+ minutes, I absolutely think this guy, Mikhailov, who loves to clinch, could lay on this guy and clinch it up. So, TB, I want you to go in further because you're really the one that pointed it out to me. And I agreed wholeheartedly from Jump Street.
Well, because I feel like the dynamic of this matchup is that Jusey wants it to be clean. He wants to kind of either strike at range or have his way in the wrestling department with someone that is at a clear disadvantage to himself. That's where he has his success. He's got some judo, and maybe that works to his advantage because what I see is that Jono, he's all about getting into the clinch, out muscling opponents, using trips and throws, but then using just absolutely elite jiu-jitsu and scrambles. Now, when he's outmatched physically, that's where you start to see some of the holes in his game. And yeah, there's an ugly knockout loss on the record. There's there's some stuff that you don't love to see here or there. But at the same time, I think you truly do have to put him out if you want this guy to stop coming forward and grapevine and going for a back take or going for a triangle. He's got submissions of all different types of varieties, and he makes you think in any type of exchange. And when he ends up on his back, he's not one of those guys that throws up a triangle or whatever, like immediately. I love his deep half guard sweeps. I like the way he works to a single leg. It's just really nice work. As you say, he's not used to facing people that actually have an advantage in that way. Both these guys from
who is he fought that has any level of jiu-jitsu like this guy?
Not at all.
Tell me. I mean, like there's no like inherently we've had a law here on this show. If you're minus 200 or above, we have to think you're getting a finish. What makes me think he's finishing this guy? You can't just wiki cap and say he's been knocked out before. It was late in round 4.
That was crazy.
And that dude, Alden Bates, I wouldn't be surprised if we end up hearing from him at some point. He's the champ over there now. He's going to get another fight. I don't see why, if he could win it, we might hear from him.
It just could be. Dan Tom, what do you got here?
So Mikulev didn't really register with me, and then I looked closer because he's one of the few southpaws. I don't know if he
look closelier.
Yeah, it didn't show that he took this fight on short notice, but like when I got the bio sheets that the UFC sends out, they didn't have Jonathan Mikulev's info on there, right? But yeah, he is my favorite archetype, if you will, but I don't know how much he fits that archetype. Where we just mentioned the second coming of Rick Story. Rick Story was one of my favorite dogs. You know, I think one of my early MMA bets, I think I cashed him as like a plus 270 over Thiago Alves. I'm really dating myself like the grandpa that I am to you kids over here. But it's the archetype is durable southpaws who can wrestle.
Doesn't even know who that is.
Durable southpaws who can wrestle.
He really doesn't.
Rick Story and Thiago Alves. Don't make me feel old. But listen, durable southpaws who can wrestle are great archetypes. And I don't know how durable Jonathan Mikulev is. I don't know how proven really he is either. I mean, you look at my grading the winners, which I'll reference for the next matchup as well. I'll do write-ups on these guys coming to the Contender Series, and I gave him an A- because he did what he's supposed to do, what he's supposed to do for that show, what Dana likes. But we get that misconstrued, right? And we often forget that, like, again, having a proven product means something. And the way the UFC does business, we got to be careful not to be taken in by their promotion guys, because even the good prospects, like the Peyton Talbots of the world, are very much rushed to market these days. Yeah. All these guys are getting rushed to market, even the good ones, and they can't necessarily swim. They might sink. So that's the thing here. That's why I'm leaning toward Kevin Jousset, but I do not want to put money on him. I feel like it's dog or pass. I do like the big cage for him to be able to move around in. But yeah, man, I guess the last note I'll say is it's 2025 is the year we're in, right, guys? Why do these guys both have mustaches that look like they went out of date in 1925? Like, yeah, I feel like Kevin just should be running like an artillery line, be like, hey, Lieutenant, excuse me, Lieutenant. Yes, sir.
That's like the new style these days. It's like the shaving the face and just the mustache. I don't know why. It's making a weird comeback. I'm not a fan of it, but it's what the thing is right now.
I don't know. These guys look creepy though. I wouldn't trust them with my drink. I'm just saying that.
No. Oh God, no. We need one of those like little, protectors on the cups. I'm keeping my hand like as a gate over it. There's no way they're touching anything I got. All right.
Oh, come on, don't lie.
Give me Quillen the Squid, South Guild versus Anshul, the King of Lions, Jubilee. As long as you're not barking like a dog.
Do you believe in magic?
Jubilee.
Yeah, Jubilee and magic. No, not. I thought it was good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I don't believe in magic for Anshul Jubilee in this matchup. No. He needs everything to go right and for his opponent to kind of like accept their fate. And Quillen, for all of his misgivings, he's got heart, and that is literally all you need in this matchup. So you pass the test, buddy. Come on down. Submission round 2, round 3, after Jubilee has a jubilant time in round 1. Just surviving just enough, maybe feeling himself a little bit, and then Quillen. I mean, this guy pushes the pace. I expect him to eventually get his game going, and Jubilee's just going to melt, and that's where we'll find the finish late.
Yeah, I mean, it was really, he really shut off at round 2. Like, he never came off his stool, and he didn't want to be there. He was absolutely terrified of Mike Breeden. And you have to wonder where his confidence is at coming into this fight. It can't be fucking good. And, you look at somebody like Quillen Kincaid, who's Sakilde, who's like has a lot of talent. He just also has like some fairly large holes in his defense that are kind of concerning. And I just don't love some of the way that he also doesn't have great takedown defense either, though that shouldn't be a fucking problem here. But I just the line starts to scare me because these big favorites. I mean, we just watched Peyton Talbot shit the bed, right? Like, I mean, because you don't get to control for these guys, right? If you can't make Quillen wrestle, he doesn't deserve to be minus 650, because if this fight's taking place on the feast, I'm just not, for 15 minutes, I'm not super sold. So there you go. That means Bogey agrees. Thank you, Bogey.
No, that's is that Brownie?
Oh, Brownie. Thank you, Brownie. I appreciate Brownie. So Dan, you're already up. So I mean, let's go for it. I kind of like the Quillen sub perhaps, but I think this gross fight could just go the distance. Minus 650 is gross. It's all gross. Hey, I don't know.
Yeah. I actually I know I'm like a round 2 whore all of a sudden. I was the round 3 guy for years. Now I'm like round 2, especially today. But this is a round 2 I really like, even though I didn't play it. I might actually consider putting this in a round robin, especially if I end up with an option that I can't take over the counter. But that is Salkilde round 2. Like you said, Jubilee tends to kind of have a drop off on round 2. Salkilde, even though he's big and aggressive, for the division, he's still kind of like that lanky, blankety, kind of awkward guy, and with a style where it's like a more of a wear down style. And I feel like round 2 is going to be the hot round here, so I'll take Salkilde. I just want to say my grading the winner. I always love when this happens in my grading the winners column, where I said Young should still get some booking consideration down the road, while I see Salkilde being paired up with someone like Anshul Jubilee on the next international card. Stop reading my work, or if you're going to read my work, matchmakers, make better matches and stop with the rematches, you motherfucker. Sorry.
Everything Liddy, I love when it's hot. The hot round, baby. Bring it on.
Hot rounds. Let's go.
Hot. Oh my goodness. Okay. This is exactly what I needed at this moment. Like, the nicknames in this fight. This is like Eastern medicine handbooks on self-help and virtue. We've got Peace of Mind and Art of Knockout. The showdown of a lifetime, truly. Hyunsung Park, Nyam Jergal Tumandembari. These dang Mongolians breaking down my shitty wall. And I think Tumandembari is coming for it all.
Oh, a Mongolian Trojan horse.
I think we got the Mongolian all, baby. Let's go. Come on. Tumandembari has fought the tougher competition so far in the UFC and Hernandez. Hyunsung Park. Oh, congratulations. You knocked out Shannon Ross. That's one of the most difficult things you could do in MMA. And let me tell you, it got a little sketchy. Like, round 2, they're talking about how, this is Shannon Ross's round. Boom, body shot, dead. And yeah, it's just boom, idiot died in a high gliding accident. Oh, honey, look at me. I'm Hyunsung Park. And I'm getting dropped basically in every single fight that I'm in. I don't have peace of mind knowing that I'm minus 230 on a 5-inch reach disadvantage and fighting worse level of competition. And Tumandembari has shown that he can threaten submissions, he can threaten knockouts, and he can get out on the front foot and, threaten to throw more volume. Now, in the Hernandez fight, it didn't quite come to fruition, but he was really threatened as he was, kind of stalking him. But Hernandez, what he did is he shot early and often. I'm talking 30 seconds into round 1, Carl, he's trying to go for a takedown, and that is what stifles the output of a guy like the Art of Knockout. And I think that to kick off the card, we get a little secret from the Guru special Art of Knockout inside the distance, plus 190 as an underdog.
Why is it the Guru special?
Well, because you're a guru of like Eastern medicine and studies. So.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Art of Knockout, like Art of War, like Sun Tzu. Or, you've never.
No, I mean, I know what that is, but like you're
I don't know.
Woof, woof.
I'm laying it on Thicknesse. I'm sorry. But I got the dog here. We got the dog here.
Yeah, I'm leaning with the dog, but I'm not sold. I'm still not sold. I mean, Hyung Park is not very good at all, and he's coming off that knee surgery, which is also terrible. And I do like the fact that Temember was active more recently, but
basically how you just said
Temendembro. So yeah, I mean, I took the shot on him versus Hernandez. He didn't get it done, but I'm definitely. Why was that fight even a split? Should he have even?
He knocked him down in 2 separate rounds, and at the very end of the fight, he just about, like he hurts him, whatever. He also does the same thing at the end of round 1. So
I got so drunk that night.
If you're judging on damage, it's close, because Hernandez is mostly control and volume.
You're supposed to judge on damage.
But Park is not sound defensively, and he's giving up the reach.
So then we just take him by inside the distance, which is what you said. So that makes sense.
Dan, what do you think here?
I'm trying to think here because how many underdogs do I have already? I think I don't have that many underdogs that I'm backing on this card, picking, much less playing. And I don't know too much about these guys. This is one I stayed light on, guys. I will say their nicknames sound like Deepak Chopra opened up a weed dispensary.
Literally the best nicknames. Like,
yeah. I don't got any real information on this. I may take Tumen Burrell just because I got a buddy named Tumen who I missed from near that part of the world. But no, I don't got really anything here. I didn't value the Shannon Ross knockout too much either. You guys are breaking this down. But I don't want to touch this fight, to be honest. So not much help for me on this one, guys. Sorry.
Understandable. It should be a great fight to start the night, especially if we get a dog fucking finish. Are you kidding me? A double dog.
Double doggy delight. All right. Believe it or not, you guys made it through the experience. Absolutely phenomenal time as always. So delighted to have the wonderful Dan Tom joining the show, bringing all the good energy and matching ours. That's for sure. He understands the assignment. It's the Chronic Combat Conglomerate, live every Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern. The best bets, the best guests, always free picks. If you haven't already, it's messed up, but please throw a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, smash it like Jalen Turner versus Bobby Green. Just don't stop until you get enough. And yeah, I really appreciate everyone coming out here to have a good time with us every week. Dan, before we let the guru do the proper outro for the show, you got anything to tell the people where can they find you? And thanks so much, man. We really appreciate you.
Oh, thanks, man. No, you guys rock, man. I still, have to for work purposes be on the artist formerly known as Twitter at Dan Tom MMA, where you can find me pretty much on all social platforms. I try to be more active on Blue Sky. I don't know if you could say that I'm back in the Blue Ski, but you can find me on the Blue Ski. Blue Sky there, Dan Tom MMA. And honestly, it's just an awesome to be with you guys. I love you guys. The show's entertaining. Please hit the like, subscribe button, share. And the one last non-MMA thing I'll leave you guys on is, there were a lot of Wire references, maybe some Oz references. If you don't know them, go watch those shows, especially the Wire. Oz as well. There's a lot of dicks in there, so that's your thing too. But it's a good show. But watch The Wire, folks. It's like a prerequisite. Watch The Wire. That's all I'll say.
We just watched. Oh wow! I won't blow it. We'll talk off air. That's so funny.
All right.
Seriously, Dan, thank you so much for spending your time with me. All of us, literally, such a great fucking time. We appreciate you. One of these days, man, we're gonna all grab a beer or something, and we're gonna sit there for like 8 hours and just chat the fuck away because we could just keep going and going. So thank you all for tuning in. We're going to make a ton of money this card. I have a feeling that we're going to do really freaking well. TB, thanks so much for doing your thing as the co-host. Make sure you're following him over on Twitter, Instagram, Picket, Verdict, Tapology, and Bet MMA. I'm making him do his verdict. And you can follow me, the Guru Scouting MMA, over on Twitter, Instagram, Picket, Verdict, Tapology, and Bet MMA. Guys, take care. We will be back next week with Jared Cannonier versus Hobocop Gregory Rodriguez. Gonna be a banger of a card. Back in the Apex. Can't wait to hear those 100 fan crowd go wild. Jesus Christ. Get me out of the Apex. But then, hey, we go to Seattle. So, whenever TV wants to hit the music, the show will be over.
You didn't say be safe, bro.